I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Hey Jim, I got one more before we can I play one more after O'Reilly just for old time's sake, please?
Yeah.
It's coming. Youch.
She's actually hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there.
Okay.
Gosh, I hope she's okay.
She wasn't, Steve. All right, it's the Daily Puck Drop broadcasting from the Limbach Lumber Studios. Contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. The largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Old school service because they've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbachlumber.com. Daily Puck Drop, we do it live every single day starting at 10. We try to go to 11:30, sometimes goes a little bit longer. If you're listening later on the podcast, watching later on YouTube, just be advised we go live every single day at 10 a.m. The go-to guy, Jim Moore, joins us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Brought to you by...
Hey, Puck, we're going to shift from brightowllighting.com. That's Brian Turner's side business. It's only 2 weeks till Christmas, so I'm assuming that most people have their Christmas lights up. His main business, though, is a Clean Streak, a professional window and exterior cleaning services, proudly serving Island and Skagit counties for more than 10 years, 100% satisfaction guaranteed, not 99%, 100%. Whether you need your roof cleaned or how about those gutters jammed with leaves and dirt, they'll clean those too. And you can also let the professionals from a Clean Streak handle all of your pressure washing needs. Why would you choose a Clean Streak? I don't know. I love Brian Turner, and, you want to help him out, don't you? It's a local business. It's family-owned. Brian Turner and his crew are trusted and reliable, so trust me on this. Give them a call, 360-395-5748. That's 360-395-5748, or visit acleanstreak.com.
Okay, are they just only serving the Island and Skagit County? Can I get Brian to come on down and clean my gutters?
It's funny you asked me that, and as I don't have that answer. I meant to text Brian today.
I would assume it's the same. I would assume it's the same.
Yeah, I'll find out though. But yeah, check it out. I bet you he'll venture a little farther south, and you don't have to just be Jason Puckett to get his service.
I don't want to. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to abuse it. I don't want to abuse it. All right.
Well, you got some pressure washing you need done or something?
Oh, you know what? I was just thinking about that. Yeah, we got to do the patio. We'll wait till the spring to do that. I don't have a pressure washer. My neighbor does. They borrow his. But that is a freaking mess, man. When you're doing that pressure wash, man, it's fucking awful. But,
water going everywhere. Dirt,
oh, you get sprayed. You just mud. It's just absolute mud.
Pants,
and living
shoes.
Here. Yeah, it's like my whole back little cement patio, just covered in moss. You know why? Because it rains here all the time. Although it's been nice the last couple of weeks.
Do you do anything on your own, or do you just hire out? I mean, you had who the hell was that put in the golf course for you in the backyard?
Okay, stop. Number one.
You have a golf course in your backyard.
I don't have a golf course.
By Bright Out Lighting.
I don't have a golf course. First of all, I paid for half of it.
You paid for half of it?
Yeah, I paid for maybe not quite half, a portion of it.
Well, did that kind of hurt a little bit? Like, were you wondering why you didn't get it for free?
No, that was the agreement. That was the agreement going in. I had to nail that one in right before we hit the parachute on the job, though. I'll tell you that. No, I don't have a putting green. I don't have a golf course. It's a nice putting green. I'm telling you that.
I know. No, it's part of in our business.
Synthetic turf Northwest, by the way, if you want to know, it's wonderful.
It's a fun job, but we don't make a fortune doing this. So it's kind of nice when you have those perks. You know what I really miss? And I was watching a video that I took, 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
These boondoggle golf trips that I used to go on.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
They were free. They'd
100%.
fly you there.
Yeah.
They'd put you up in a 5-star resort, and then you'd play this 5-star golf course. I mean, I went to Puerto Rico. I went to Thailand. I went to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was write a story about it.
Right. No, that's good.
Yeah.
That is the perk of doing what we did and what we do. That is the perk. And by the way, it gives me a chance to talk about Synthetic Turf Northwest. If you would like a brand new synthetic turf backyard, no mud, no dogs digging in your backyard, and you would like a nice putting green to have in your backyard, practice on that short game. Let me talk to you about my friends at Synthetic Turf Northwest, 425-549-4706. It's pet friendly, folks. It's good enough for the Puckett household.
Are they gonna get the kind of deal you got?
It's good enough for Puck Sports. It's good enough for you. I mean, they don't do any advertising anymore. I mean, hey, you can come back on. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, there's two things based on what we do that I have received over the 20 plus years of doing sports media, sports talk. All right. The two best things, advertising deals, like what, when you get like a trade, all that kind of stuff. This one, Synthetic Turf Northwest, because my backyard was a freaking mud pit. My dogs hated it. I hated it. And I was tired of it. And we replaced it. So it was great. The other one was years ago. We got have you ever heard of the mattresses, Casper mattresses?
No.
Have you ever heard of those? Years ago, there were these mattresses they delivered in a box, and it pops out, and it's like direct to your home. You don't got to go to a mattress store; they deliver it to you. Anyways, this was like 15 years ago. They were just starting. Like, wow, we need somebody to endorse it, and like it was like a national thing. And then I got chosen to do it. We've had that bed since, and it's the greatest thing in the world. That bed is the greatest bed in the history of beds. So Casper, thank you. Synthetic Turf Northwest, thank you. I just wanted to mention that. That was it.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
How are the dogs doing with fake grass? Do they learn to go on the fake grass, or do they still stay away from that and go on the flower beds maybe?
Took them a second, but now they're good. They know not to go on the putting green. Well, one of them does. The other one doesn't. The other one will go on the putting green.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got to pick that up. And then, but if they poop on it and it leaves a little mess, you just spray it off. It's the easiest thing in the world, man. I'm mad that I didn't do it sooner. So,
are you sure about that though? Do you feel kind of lame looking out at fake grass when you live in the Northwest?
I don't. No, not in the winter, not in the summer, not living in Seattle, and the amount that water costs in this stupid city of how expensive it is. And I never could keep it green because it was so expensive. And then in the winter, when it just goes dormant and it turns into a mud pit, no. My kids, oh my God, the other day, we're doing grounders out there. I'm hitting hot fungos from like 15 feet away to the vampire. No, it's great. Best thing ever.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you,
Well,
do it.
okay. All right. Speaking of fake stuff, a pet peeve of mine, and it's a big pet peeve. Like number one on my list is litter. Okay, number one, far away, always a winner. If you litter, you're just the biggest loser ever when there's garbage cans everywhere. Okay. But fake Christmas trees versus live ones. I'm so out on fake trees. People who get fake trees, come on, man. Especially in the Northwest. I know they're kind of expensive. Like the other day, I got a noble fir for $95 at one of these, lots down here in Bend, Oregon. It was only like 7 feet tall, so it's kind of overpriced. But the smell, putting it in the stand, the water,
it's great.
Having a real tree really means Christmas.
100%.
But people are losers like you if they get fake trees.
Can I defend
fake
my
trees
family?
Are the fucking worst. Okay?
Can I defend the family for just a quick second? Not my idea. B, we don't put it up every year. The CEO got it because most Christmas, well, not most, like every other year, we're not here for Christmas. We're visiting family or taking a vacation. That's the like.
Okay, but
hold on, just
let
me just finish. That's the time of year we decide to go take vacations, is right around Christmas. So her point was, I'm not going to get a real tree because we're gone. So why would we get a real one? It's just going to be here, and then we're gone, and then we're not even here for Christmas to enjoy it. So she bought a fake one for those years. This year, we're home, so we have a real one. So only the fake one is used when we're not here. Does that make sense? Does that make it any better?
No, it doesn't. So, like, when do you leave when you go on vacation? The day after Christmas or the day before?
We usually, if we were going to leave, probably either sometimes the day of, I would usually say like the 22nd of December we leave.
Okay.
And I know so why don't you?
Well,
have
you
it
would
for the
normally
first
put
2
it
weeks?
up in what, right around now or a little earlier than this. Some people put them up
usually the
Thanksgiving.
first week of
you
December.
can enjoy the real tree until you leave on the 22nd.
Yeah. Again,
I feel really strongly about that.
I
I'm
understand.
not sure why exactly.
I feel the same way as you. It's just, the fights you don't want to pick with them.
Yeah.
That's just one I'm just not going to pick. I don't. That's not worth it.
Not the hill you're going to die on.
Yeah,
just thing
yeah,
is.
yeah. I'm just not going to pick.
No,
it.
and
Hey,
then whenever someone has a fake tree, like my daughter, I'm going, to her house, and I'm going with my granddaughter to see Santa tonight.
yeah,
That's why I'm driving up to Seattle. I'm in my car at Hood River.
wonderful.
But I always, like, hey, your tree looks a lot like last year's tree, And then the fake tree people will say, hey, I paid $300 for this tree.
I know.
And, over 10 years, that'll be $30 a year. And I'm like, well, screw you, man. You're a Scrooge.
I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. Thus, I should be publicly shamed for it. 100%.
Okay.
You can follow, hey, real quick, before we move on. If you follow the go-to guy, again, who's with us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, brought to you by Clean Streak Professional Window Exterior Cleaning Services. Follow him on social media. They're at Cougs Go. You can follow me, Puck Sports, on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. TikTok, where we put all of our video clips from the show, Puck_sports. We also do that on Facebook as well. Search Puck Sports. Also on your screen, if you're streaming the show, that QR code is going to take you right to the Pucks Posse community. That QR code, or you can just go to pucksports.com. The top of the website will take you there. If you want access to all of the Puck Sports content, don't want to miss a thing, become a full member today. Members get full access and VIP content. Sign up and join the conversation. We introduced a new segment yesterday, or new feature yesterday. We'll see how regular it's going to get, called Puck Bites. Quick, like 15-minute, just audio version. Usually that I'll post in the evening if there's breaking news, or just something that maybe you and I, or the days that you're not here, we didn't get to on the Daily Puck Drop. I did one yesterday because the Mariners got the 3rd overall pick in the MLB draft lottery. Joe Doyle, who I've known Joe for a while, and who's a Coug as well. Joe does a great job of breaking down the Major League Baseball draft. I mean, he knows everything. I don't know anything at all about any of these guys. So Joe popped on for a quick 5 minutes, just asked him how important it was for them to get the 3rd overall pick, how surprising it was that they got it, and then just asked them, hey, what are the names that we should be thinking about? And then also, just in that quick little puck by, some new information on the future there of John Mateer. So if you want all that access, sign up to be a Pucks Posse community member. All right.
Okay, no, wait. I'm
Got
going
it
to
out of the way.
interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you before you get going.
Yeah.
I told you before we started that I wanted to praise you and give you a hard time, and that the praise will be really short, and the giving you grief will last longer, because that's what friends do, right?
Yeah.
Like friends don't generally praise for very long. They rather rip your buddy.
Here it comes.
No, the praise is, what I noticed yesterday when I went to pucksports.com?
Yeah.
You hit the 500 episode mark. 500 episodes.
I didn't do a good enough job of promoting that yesterday. That was not just the Daily Puck Drop was episode number 500, but John Canzano specifically. And I didn't time that up. It's what's the right word? I don't know. It's perfect that it was Canzano, that he was 500. Because I've leaned on John a lot during this whol venture for the past.
Well, I think it would have been
months.
perfect if I was involved. I mean, since you could just tell me that, even if you didn't mean it. And it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? Fair point. Yeah, Canzano's episode yesterday was episode 500, which is just amazing. I can't believe it.
Okay, so
500.
that's why I'm praising you.
Okay.
I mean, you had a wild hair. You went out on your own, and here you are, 500 episodes later.
Yeah. Uh-oh. We've lost a headphone.
I can still hear you. Can you still hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Okay. God damn. How do you get those things to stay in your ear longer than I mean, I have a hell of a time with them.
I don't know. Now what's the point you're going to make fun of me?
Here's what I want to give you a hard time about. I listened to Puck Bites as I was driving through Madras today. Yeah. And I enjoyed that. And I just but it occurred to me, I'm paying, I did the 10% off offer. Sure. I'm paying $54 a year for what you're giving people. And you feel like somehow, some way that you're maybe not offering enough as it is. And so you want to make sure that everyone that's in Puck's posse gets a bang for their buck.
Yeah.
I already feel like $450 a month. You're giving me more than I need for my bang for the buck. And yet you still, I know you well enough that you still feel like, God, I got to give a little extra. I got to give a little this. I got to give a little that. You know, I mean, look at this. I stopped in Maupin, Oregon. And I paid $6 for this almond milk latte or whatever. And for $4.50, what I get from you in a month? Okay, let's go through that. Okay. So you're going to have NFL draft coverage. You had the special Mariner off-season. Yeah. What'd you call it?
The Diamond Table Show.
Oh, you couldn't figure out a play on Puck for that?
No, but I am running out of ideas to play with. Have these
okay, and you're going to have a special NFL draft show.
Sure.
And you did the draft last year, round by round, pick by pick. You do all these different things, and then what else is? And you feel like you need to add more and more and more. And I appreciate that, and I think listeners do too, Puck's Posse members. But now you added Puck Bites.
You think you're doing too much?
Well, I don't think you're doing too much, and I'm going to enjoy it, all the content, but I don't really expect any more from you for $450 a month. Okay. And you're going to do Puck Speakeasy, where you're doing these long form interviews too. I mean, do you sit there and talk to Kaisa and feel like maybe you're not doing enough?
Enough in our marriage?
Because you need to have a life and you got 2 kids.
No, I want to make sure. Listen, I want to make sure when people listen. I know what. Oh God, now you're gonna make me. I want to make sure, and again, I don't for what I'm doing, what you're a part of, what we're doing with all the guests. I mean, listen, there's forms of income for this whole thing, right? There's the advertising income that comes in. And then there's this other side of it being a subscription service. And I've tried to build it as more of just a community. And yeah, we do a lot. I mean, the Daily Puck Drop is a lot of work. It's an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes that we put out every day. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitter.
And that's free.
And it's free. We don't charge for it. I don't, there's and because it's been free before. And I've been thinking, will that ever change? I don't think it will, but I'm never going to say never on that. I just can't, because I don't know how things change. Then maybe things evolve and maybe the show evolves. But, it's, on all the podcast platforms, we put everything up there. But, I think for those people that have spent the money, and I'm very appreciative of those people that have, I feel that, I want to give them a little something extra. It's funny that you bring this up. We did not rehearse this because I've got an email from one of the very first Puck's Posse members. I hope he doesn't get mad that I'm going to bring this up, but Jeff Augustine. In fact, actually, Jeff ended up winning this month's member giveaway, by the way. And he just, which, by the way, if you sign up to be a member, each month I give away a $100 gift package. $50 to John Howie Steak. Thank you, John. $25 to Flat Stick Pub. $25 to Georgetown Brewery. All great sponsors. And anyways, he just said, hey, man, exactly what you said. You don't got to give me more stuff. Just, I don't know how, you interact with us now, but just, I don't know, bring us more into the conversation. I thought, all right, well, that's a pretty good idea. Just more like, I guess, engagement with them. More, he would like that, and now he's not speaking for everyone, more of that than, hey, just give me more content. But I do want to give people something a little extra since they pay. That's it. I like doing it. It's fun. I like interviewing people. I think it's fun.
No, and you do a good job with it. But Puck, I mean, people realize that you have to make a living too, and they
Sure,
like you and they want to support you with what you're doing.
but this gives me now a perfect time to bring this up because I was going to ask you this question about the Mariners. I want to get to Mateer too here real quick. So Jeff came up with this idea. It's like, hey, you should just have a thing where you can interact and cross promote with people. I thought, oh, that's a good idea, Jeff. So they're on the Patreon site. By the way, if you go to patreon.com Puck Sports, you'll see there's a bunch of different ways. All the videos, the diamond table that we did up there, the video and audio of it, the Puck's Posse, or excuse me, the Puck Bites that we did yesterday is up there as well. But there's also this chat that I did. And I threw out a question today. And I do wonder this all the time. It's been some good feedback here so far. It's something I always wrestle with, and I don't know if you wrestle with this as well. I'm just thinking about the M's, and it's exciting. It's the winter meetings. I get all excited about the winter meetings. I do. Why are we always so heavily invested in this team, yet they let us down year after year after year? I mean, every year they let us down. David, because sports. I like what David said, because sports is an outlet from all our bullshit in our world. Yeah, that's right, David. It is. Brian, because the alternative is not paying attention, and then what? As a sports and baseball fan, they've all we got. Love them, hate them, they are ours. Jeffrey McDowell, who is our first month's winner for Puck's Posse, says, we want all Mariner fans to experience 2000 to 2001, brought the city together. Baseball is the best in-person talking sport around. Jason Jones says, I've been a fan since Spike Owen, Ken Phelps, and Alvin Davis. I can't quit. I feel like that. So again, we got this that's going on over there right now at the Puck's Posse community membership. Just a little a chat we're going on. So I'll ask you. I mean, I know you're a big Mariners fan. I was thinking about this yesterday because Jake Berger gets traded from the Marlins to the Rangers. I look at the package in return. I don't know any of these guys, but I talked to like Joe and others like, hey, are these good prospects? I'm like, not really. And I'm like, we couldn't do that. The guy's you know what he plays? Berger, and again, maybe someone's going to say, Berger's terrible. Why would you even consider that? He plays first base and third base. What do the Mariners need? A first baseman and a third baseman. And the fucking Rangers in your division traded, according to a lot of people, a kind of bunch of nobodies for him. And so then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, didn't get that. The Blue Jays got Jimenez from the Guardians. That'd have been nice. Okay, we're out on that. There's this pipe dream they're going to get Roki Sasaki. I have zero faith they're getting Roki Sasaki. Like 0.00 they're going to get him. And I'm like, why do I still pay attention? Why? I love the stupid sport. That's why.
No, that's what it is. I mean, I'm just a huge baseball guy. I've always loved baseball. Ever back, I mean, it goes way back to Redmond Little League. It goes back for me to the Seattle Pilots in 1969. I was 12 years old when they came to town. And then they left after 1 year. And so when the Mariners came to town, I think I was 19, 20 years old. And it's fun. And my kids are into it. It's something that we share together. We love going to games together. And then even when they're somewhere else, we're watching the games and texting each other, and just baseball. I mean, I'm always going to pull for the Mariners. I'm going to pull harder for the Mariners once Jerry's gone, because I don't like him at all. I fucking hate that guy, honestly. If I'm going to be honest, I got to hand it to him, though. I mean, I can't believe he keeps pulling the wool over Stanton's eyes and keeps getting – I mean, I saw the graphic yesterday, all the first-round picks that Jerry DiPoto's made since he's been here. Shit, it goes – the list is like, this long. It's like 14 years that he's been picking.
And what about that? And Jim, what about the luck of this guy? This in any other market, he would have been fired. I mean, any other. Well, I'm going to say market. Hold on, let me backtrack on the market. Let me backtrack on the market, because I think it gives like somehow the fans are at blame for this. I'm going to take that back. Any other organization would have fired him. Any other organization. All of them would have fired him. But he kept his job. He not only keeps his job, gets an extension, by the way, which no one, again, still don't know how long the extension is for, because they still haven't publicly said, I guess they kind of publicly said in a way there with Daniel Kramer's piece that John Stanton did. But I'm saying publicly in terms of sending out like a tweet or an email, like they've done for all these promotions they've been doing the last couple of weeks, right? They never did that for Dipoto, all right, because they're ashamed of it, because they know what the reaction's going to be if they send it out there. Okay. And then he gets into the offseason, and this son of a bitch gets the 3rd overall pick in the MLB draft lottery. They had like 0.012% chance to get it. It was unbelievable. And then he gets
and then,
ends up
if
getting
there's a so-so year this year that they don't meet expectations, he'll say, well, that kid that I picked number 3 overall, we think he'll be up next year, John. And then things will really change.
And what is
he's
with
so full of shit most of the time. He's done a great job with the pitching staff. We can all acknowledge that.
Of course.
And I think we need to acknowledge too that his hands are tied. He can't spend what he wants to spend. I wouldn't think.
Absolutely.
Like if you're a general manager, you want to spend like the Mets spend or the Yankees or the Dodgers, but he can't do that here. And so, but talking about still staying loyal to the Mariners and being into the Mariners, and I always will be. But this is the first off season where last year even I thought, well, God, maybe they're going to jump into the deep end of the pool. But this year I'm going, I don't even think they're going to put a toe in the pool. When you read stories that they have $15 million to spend.
15. That's Jude. I mean, Jude was on that from the get-go.
That gets you nothing.
$15 million this organization is willing to spend.
And Puck, of course they're going to be in on Sasaki because he's cheap as hell. I mean, and he's a difference maker for sure from what you read about him. God, the guy is, lights out. And then people talking about it, rightly so. You get that guy, then you can trade Castillo and bolster your lineup.
Yeah, but I don't like.
Get rid of
I don't
the $24 million that you owe him.
Yeah, but I don't like what his agent said yesterday, or at least what I read yesterday about he doesn't want to go to a place where he has to have a mentor, like a Japanese mentor. So maybe some people thought, well, maybe that takes Darvish out because Darvish is like a mentor to him. But then also I'm thinking like their big pitch to him is Ichiro. So maybe the Ichiro thing will be a turnoff to him. He's like, I don't want that. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, listen.
Well, I mean, what do they have to pay him? They pay him peanuts, right?
Yes, they pay him peanuts. Everybody pays him peanuts.
That's why they're all in on it.
Well, I know, but everybody.
He's really good.
Yeah. Everybody should be all in on him.
Yeah. So
everybody. So that when he comes out and says like, "Oh, we're gonna be a full court press on him," I'm like, "Do you?" I took a step back and I go, "Do you want praise for that?" Everyone's going to be a full court press on him. Everybody should be. He's 23 years old. This guy has got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, for God's sakes. He's going to cost you nothing. Everybody should be on him. You don't get praise for that. And the other thing, can these guys stop doing football analogies talking about baseball? I'm sick of it. Last year they hired an offensive coordinator, stupid. This year he's talking about, we're not quite in the red zone yet. Shut up. Shut up with the football stuff. It's not football. It's baseball. Will you stop it? God.
Scott Hansen. Hey, the Mariners are in the red zone.
God almighty. The red zone. We're not quite in the red zone yet. Oh, no, shut up. Are you ever going to get in the red zone? I'm waiting for them to get in the red zone. At some point, are they going to get in? At some point, are they going to do anything? If I got to read another article that, well, their backup plan at second is Dylan Moore and Ryan Bliss.
That's not their backup plan, though.
That's their plan. That's the plan. Jesus, man. How's that the plan?
Hey, Justin's Jerry. Yeah, we're going to tell them that it's our backup plan. You and I both know that that's plan A.
I mean, that's what it's going to be. Unless they pull off some trade for Nico Horner. Maybe they end up getting Nico Horner. I don't know. And I'm all for that. Suzuki, I know, is on the block there for the Cubs, but who knows where he wants to go.
I heard you on Puck Bites, so I mean, like, more and more, if you're a good player, why would you want to come here? I mean, number one, the Mariners have never won anything. I always like to think that if I'm a player, I want to go somewhere where they've never won anything, like Seattle. And if I was on a team that won a World Series, I'd be a legend forever, as opposed to the Yankees and Dodgers where they've won a million titles.
Yeah.
But really, why would you come here?
I don't know,
If you're in
man.
the prime of your career, you're going, God, I might get a lot of money going to. Well, you're not going to get a lot of money coming to Seattle, but And then you talk about the ballpark. Who wants to hit here?
No one. I mean,
Teoscar.
that's why they got to do trades.
What's Teoscar going to get?
I don't know.
If Soto got what he got, I mean, Teoscar's going to make what do you make this year? $24 million. He's going to make what, 35 to 40?
Yeah.
That's maybe a little high, but at least 30.
I guess at this point now, I'm just lean into pitching and just get all the top pitchers in the league. I don't know. I mean, and hopefully he can score a couple of runs.
Well, yeah. Then you got Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez.
Yeah. He's high on him. He's high on him for sure. All right, before you go, I know you got things to do. Rob Staton's coming up here soon. We'll talk a little football with Rob. I don't know why I'm getting the thumbs up there. I'm going to give you the Mateer timeline. I know you listened to the Puck Bite yesterday. They presented, I don't know how it went. I'm going to assume it went okay. They're pretty tight-lipped over there. But John Mateer was presented the NIL deal package on Tuesday. So there's a big presentation for him.
Do you think it's close to $1 million?
Ooh.
Do you think it's in the 750 range, maybe?
I think it's in the 750 range.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My guess is, and I said this last week, this is not going to last long. This is not going to drag on. I think by Saturday or Sunday, you're going to have an answer. That'd be my guess. My educated best guess is by Sunday-ish, you're going to know what he's going to do.
Okay. And
he's
I know
either going to go, or he's either going to stay, or he's going to go in the portal.
I know you said that if he's going to go, that the new team won't want him to play in the bowl game, but I think it'd be awesome if he did.
Well, there's no way that's going to happen.
No, but that'd be kind of like, hey, you know what? I know I'm leaving you, Pullman, but you know what? What the hell? One more game, go Cougs.
It's in the agreement. Most of these contracts have an agreement. Once you sign, you can't play in the bowl game. So he won't play in the bowl game. I don't know. Okay. I've talked to a couple people over there. I just said, what do you think? And they, they're confident. They feel good about it. But, I think you're also trying to be glass half full about it. And I don't know. I mean, or maybe they truly feel that way. I don't know. But they feel confident that he's going to remain. I hope he does. They need a win. I think, here's the thing. You know what? I think the little guys in this sport who are being shit on all the time, and I think the sport in general needs a win. And this, to me, would be a win for the sport. And what I mean by that is, it's just, you sign there, you're going to get some money, a lot of money, fulfill it and have fun where you started. I mean, some of these guys, I'm sorry. I mean, I know people want this unlimited free agency. It's a problem. You got quarterbacks and players, 5 different schools in 6 years. That's not right. That's not right at all. Just isn't.
As part of my pitch, if I'm the Coug Collective, is somehow getting a Zoom call with Ashton Genty and say, hey, John, talk to him. And he can tell you what it was like being at Boise State, what he got in comparison to other offers, but why he did that and how it worked out well for him. But it's going to be tough, Puck. I mean, we're probably, even though we just speculate it's 1.5, that he's probably being offered by Auburn and whoever else. But
I mean,
the bidding war for him might even go to $2 million.
I mean, it may. I mean, you never know these figures, right? They're all kind of speculative. I would just say this about Cam Ward. So Cam Ward went. He got paid, right? Maybe he upped his draft stock. I don't know. Didn't help the team. Didn't do anything. I mean, he helped the team. They didn't get in the playoffs. They're left out. They're playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Is that what they're in?
Yeah.
So Cam Ward's going to be playing in a bowl game where they've got mascots that go around like strawberry Pop-Tarts and stuff.
I love a good Pop-Tart. Quick question. Do you like it heated up or cold? I prefer cold.
Yeah, I cold.
Yeah.
Generally, I'll bite off the part that doesn't have frosting and go around, and then I'll just get into the frosting part.
Hey, last thing for you, and I'll get to Rob. Rob, hold on one second. We're going to get to Rob in a second. Have you seen this? I don't know how much you follow like Cougar Twitter, but there's been a big, just this Cougar Twitter debate real quick that's been going on. It's raging. Ryan Leaf's a part of it. Mike Leach versus Jake Dickert. Who has had a tougher start to their coaching tenure? And it's the stupidest argument in the world. It really is dumb.
So what's it based on?
Well, it's just
Dickert,
based
you
on.
talked about Dickert and what he had to navigate.
Yeah.
Leach came in after Wolf.
It's people saying it kind of started with people wanting Dickert fired, and then people say, "Hey, listen, look at what he's had to take over." And then I think it really started with someone compared the first 3 years. I even talked about it, the first 3 years of them coaching, like their records. He has a better record than Leach in his first 3 years. But that wasn't to say that he's a better coach or he had a tougher start than Mike Leach. It was just pointing out, like, listen, he's been a good coach and guy's got a winning record. I don't think you're going to fire him, especially at that school. I mean, we're not some blue blood program, guys, where you just go replace coaches left and right. I would just say this. I don't think that Dickert should be fired. I don't think he should be moved on. I think he needs to make some improvements. But I'm just going to say this. I think they both have had unbelievable circumstances to start their career. Jake Dickert has had to do something no one else has had to done before, what he's had to go through, the changes in college football, what he had to take over with Paul Wolf, or not with Paul Wolf, but with Rolovich. But let me just be clear. You may have your differences with Mike Leach, and he rubs you the wrong way. That dude took over a fucking dead school. A dead football program. Absolutely dead. And he revived it. Okay? He revived it. And I'm going to say this to the people who also shit on Bill Moose all the time. He hired him. So instead of shitting on Bill Moose left and right, how about you just pat him on the back? Yeah, he wasn't perfect. He went down and made probably the greatest hire in school history and kept the program alive. So,
yeah, I can see why it's a debate, though. I mean, Leach had to, he was exiled there in Key West, because of throwing Craig James' kid in a shed or something.
Yeah, threw him in a shed, Jim.
So, I mean,
it was warranted.
And he took over a program that just sucked big time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Leach had experience, too, as a head coach, and he had success as a head coach there at Texas Tech before he came to Pullman. Agreed. And Dickert's a first-time head coach, and what he had to navigate, I mean, it was pretty incredible what he's done. So I'm with you on that. I don't know if I'd go so far as to call people asinine like you do on Twitter, for wanting Dickert fired, but
it's asinine.
I might.
It's asinine.
Asinine's a nice way of saying you're out of your fucking mind.
Yes, it's more professional. All right, cheers to you. Have fun with the kiddos tonight, and we'll see you on Friday.
Okay, Puck. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, Jim Moore with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by Clean Streak Professional Window Exterior Services and also Bright Owl Lighting. Hey, real quick, before we get to Rob Staton, I'm going to do this because we've got some great sponsors throughout that have been supporting Puck Sports here for the past 8 months. So I'm going to do a quick break. We'll get a word from one of our fabulous sponsors, Flat Stick Pub. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. And big thanks to Andy Large and Flat Stick Pub, one of the great sponsors that we've had here for the past 7 or 8 months. Time for the Rob Staton Show, brought to you by Superior Linen Service, family-owned and operated since 1926, committed to delivering the highest quality products and services to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today, suplinen.com. Give them a call, 253-383-2636. Here's a guy that never stops working, Rob Staton. The man does not sleep. I'm honest. I don't know if he actually sleeps. He could be a vampire. You can read all of his work, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. You can, his video content, his YouTube channel, which is a sensational channel, Rob Staton Football. You can follow him on X at Rob Staton. Be honest with me, okay, real quick before we get into the Seahawks and an article that you wrote on SeahawksDraftBlog.com. We talk about the offensive line and all that kind of stuff. How many hours a night do you sleep? Be honest. Rob, I can't hear you. You got to turn your mic on, you putz. Or do I have something on my end? No,
No, it's mine. It's
there
mine.
You go.
For some reason, it muted for some reason.
That's okay. How many hours a night?
So I will sleep. It's not many. I've kind of trained myself over the years. I think being an NFL fan and a college football person, you end up getting at this time of year, getting to a point where you just, I'd say maybe sort of 5 hours, 6 hours.
Do you take a nap?
Sometimes take a nap, but typically fit a nap in after the gym or something when you are feeling particularly tired. But yeah, I think I just think you get to a point where if you do it for long enough, you kind of get used to it.
Okay, well, you work your ass off, man. I mean, because not only people don't. I'm sure a lot of people do know, but I think there's probably a lot of people that don't know. Like SeahawksDraftBlog.com, what you do, the YouTube channel. It's not his full-time job, guys. He has a full-time job working at the WBC, at the BBC. All right, that's his full-time job, and then this is the side hustle, and it's an amazing side hustle. All right, we're going to get into a piece that you wrote up at SeahawksDraftBlog.com, big offensive topics. I want to touch on that one. It's a good, lengthy read talking about the quarterbacks in the draft. Drew Allar, we're going to get to that, the quarterback from Penn State, the future of Geno Smith. You wrote about it. We talked about it last week with Sam Darnold as well. He's not firing Ryan Grubb, so relax, but he does offer, if they were to pivot from Ryan Grubb, there is an in-house candidate that's on the Seahawks staff that I had no clue of until I read Rob's story. Let's first, though, kind of look back to the Arizona game, look ahead to Green Bay. I mean, last week's show was heavy on Ryan Grubb, right? And I think there's a couple of different thoughts. Those who want to move on from him at the end of the season, those who think that maybe Mike Macdonald will move on from in the offseason. I, for one, am in the camp of I can't evaluate anyone until I see an offensive line actually do something. That offensive line played their ass off this past week. I mean, and I know Arizona maybe doesn't have the greatest front, Rob, but that's what it's supposed to look like. Offensive line play. It's supposed to look like that. Thank God. I even, I wanted to even just, put my hands down my pants and have a smoke after watching that. So.
Well, look, it was a much better performance. Obviously, they ran for about 176 yards. Geno Smith was well protected and had some time in the pocket to check it down a lot and play quite a conservative game. And the offense functioned in a way that it hasn't for a long time. So it's very encouraging. I think that you're right, though. Arizona defensively, in terms of their pass rushers, their defensive linemen, that is a massive problem area for them. So we will learn a lot, I think, in the next two games. Minnesota Vikings have done a good job being creative with their blitzing and stuff like that to create pressure. Green Bay have got some good defensive linemen. So this is a big test. Can they follow it up? Can they take what they did last weekend and transfer it into the next two games? I think that will tell us quite a lot about the state of this offense.
Yeah. And it really, I mean, not to get into to the minutia of everything, what they were doing. I think it's fairly obvious to anyone when you were watching that game last week. We'll see if it continues against the Packers. They put their offensive linemen on the move. Something they've done a little bit before, but boy, they Scott Huff and Grubb, they really leaned into it this past weekend.
Yeah, they did. And, it was good to see Lemaya with some good pulls and landing some blocks at the next level. We saw a lot of movement there. It's something that I think you see it quite a lot in college football. They like to get linemen on the move. It's actually almost overused a lot in college football. So you will see centers trying to reach across and block off pass edge rushers sometimes in college. And, it's funny. I was watching the Texas center, Jake Majors, a couple of weeks ago, and they were asking him to sort of reach across and go and get the edge rusher. And you're thinking, why does the center need to do that? But I think a lot of these younger college offensive linemen are used to sort of doing that. And it probably produced a level of comfort for someone like Lemaya and maybe Oliver Timmy as well, if he was asked to move around, or if he's just used to sort of people moving around across from him. And it seemed to work. And they made some good plays. Fair play to Zach Charbonnet for a good game as well. And by the sounds of what we were talking about with Ken Walker earlier this week, it doesn't sound particularly encouraging with his calf injury. So we might see an extension of Zach Charbonnet's run as the lead running back. And, he played very well. And I think he needed that kind of a performance as well.
Yeah, it just was, I think what you identified is some strengths of those guys on the offensive line. And I think when you look at it, you see guys that are fairly athletic. Oluwatimi's athletic. Laumea's athletic. Abe Lucas is athletic. It looks like he's getting better and better, from that knee injury. We talked about this, I think, last week, maybe even a couple weeks ago. One thing that I wanted to see desperately is continuity with the line. That's what I wanted to see. Because the one thing that is so important in football, and I think everyone understands it, is having the same 5 guys. And I think it's 4 weeks in a row they've had 4 of the 5, right? Because with Oluwatimi coming in for Williams, and it's the last 2 weeks with Laumea. Hopefully they continue. They're all healthy, because I'm telling you, it's just that's what it's all about. I mean, skill and talent and all that, Rob, but you just got to have the same 5 guys playing all the time and not rotating dudes left and right in each week.
Well, this is the thing, Puck, is that they've had 2 issues. One is the complete turnover at certain positions over the years. So at center, they have a different center every year. And this season, they've had 2 different centers. And there's every chance there'll be yet another center starting next year. So you keep switching the positions up. You're never going to get consistency. But at the same time, they've never had the quality, especially in the interior offensive line, to sort of feel like, well, there's your guys, deliver the consistency. They're not good enough. They sign rental players. Like they signed Laken Tomlinson for a year. Like the last thing I want to see next offseason is yet another cheap 1-year contract for a player to start at center or left guard or at right guard. Put down some roots. Like go and create a 5-man offensive line that you intend to be the offensive line for the next 5 years. Now, injuries will prevent that. Yeah. Other things will prevent that from happening. Certain players will not work out, whether that's veteran free agents or draft picks, but at least give yourselves a chance. Like when you sign Laken Tomlinson, you know that he's like a 1-year rental. Yeah. When you sign other players that they've brought in, even Gabe Jackson was a Band-Aid on an axe wound. Like you've got to go and get some guys in here and sort of really put down some foundations for this offensive line so that you can have that consistency. Because as you quite rightly say, you need at least 3 or 4 of your guys who are used to playing with each other.
Yeah, and I'm just going to take a step back too, and from what I have seen the last few weeks, Rob, and I'm going to be glass half full, okay? People who watch and listen to sometimes and over the years say I'm not glass half full, and they're right. I get a little Debbie Downer sometimes, and it's a problem of mine. I need to stop. I'm going to just say, hey, it's looking better and better, and the future's getting brighter. And I'm looking at Cross, I'm looking at Oluwatimi, and I'm looking at Laumea. And I know it's only 2 games, but just let me just live in a fantasy world for a second. And Abe Lucas is solid. I mean, you got 4 guys who are young offensive linemen. And for Oluwatimi, maybe, was he not a guy last year? And why did it not happen this year for him? I don't know. I think there's a lot on a plate, especially for a rookie center. I mean, I think it's a lot like a quarterback. I think it's hard. You have to know so much that's going on. Assignments, calls, protections. I mean, he's not just going up there and snapping the fucking ball. I mean, it's nuts. He is the quarterback of the offensive line. I think there's a lot of adjustments. Maybe it's just taking him more time than they expected. So maybe now he's settled down. He's through the rookie wall. God, if they just add one more, I mean, you've got a young, hopefully, cross your fingers, nucleus of a very good young offensive line. God, how things have changed in the couple of weeks. I am really drinking the Kool-Aid after a couple of games. God,
you really are. I think maybe you maybe put some tequila in it as well.
Yeah, tequila and Kool-Aid's actually a good mix.
So I saw this thing earlier. I'm going to try and parse this in a way, and you jump in and let me know what you think about it. Yeah. So somebody posted on X today the team blown block and pressures allowed. So I mean, I don't know how whether people come up with these things. Like okay. I always think it looks like a professional graph. So someone has actually put some time to put the graph together, the logos and everything. But I always do wonder a little bit, like, it says it's been charted by FTN Data and FTN Fancy, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Aaron Schatz group, which used to be Football Outsiders that does DVOA. So there might be some legitimacy to it. So the Seahawks are actually ranked quite highly in terms of doing a good job here. So they are 12th on the list. They are actually amongst, in the top half of the NFL for how few blown blocks and pressures are allowed. And I think there is something to be said for the graph, because although that might not necessarily pass the eye test for the Seahawks, the Houston Texans are last on the list, and their offensive line has been a disaster. The Patriots are second to last. Their line's been a disaster. Then you've got the Raiders and the Titans, disaster. The Vikings are next. Anybody who's watched the Vikings at the weekend against the Atlanta Falcons, it was a sack here and a sack. You get a sack. Oprah was there. You get a sack. You get a sack.
Everybody gets a sack.
Everyone got a sack for the Falcons on Sunday. So they are the offensive lines that have performed badly. So when I looked at this, Pug, and saw the Seahawks are actually graded quite highly for a lack of blown blocks and pressures allowed, it's good on the one sense. It might suggest that coaching-wise, things are quite clean, but they just don't have the talent, because they're not blowing blocks and pressures, but they are perhaps still getting beat or giving up pressures. I don't know what the difference is between the two, but I thought it was interesting, one, to see the Seahawks ranked as highly as they were, and to try and work out what that actually means.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and someone had said in the chat, there really is a stat for everything.
There is, yes.
There really, hold on, where is it? Yeah, Sean, you're right, Sean. Sean Harker. Jesus, there's a stat for everything now. You're right, man. I get stats overloaded. I really do. And I love baseball, which is just like a whole stat, I mean, that whole sport is all about stats, but man, I get overloaded. Do
you ever look on social media and see, the big thing at the minute is to have the graphs? I don't know what the name of this is. I'm not a economist.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
So it's like a line, and you've got like the dots everywhere. And
I don't know what the hell that is.
And you kind of first you have to zoom in to see what the names of the people are on the graph, or if they're teams or players. And then when you get there, you kind of go, okay, what does this mean?
I don't know.
But then there's always somebody else who seems to go, oh yeah, that means that my favorite player is really good. So
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know, and in fact, I just saw it. I think I was going. I think it was Bill Simmons had actually, I think, had something on it, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, okay, I don't really. What does this mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I just there's too much of it at times. There really is. I like to talk sports like I'm sitting at a bar.
Well, can I bring something to you? Because there was something else we were discussing on Monday, and I found myself the Seahawks game was the broadcast that we had on the national radio over here. Okay. So I was sort of watching it, but with the broadcasting head on, because we were doing that. And all the time that I was watching it and thinking Ernest Jones is having a good game, in the back of my head, I was thinking Ernest Jones having a great game. I bet he's going to get a really bad PFF grade. And he did get a really bad PFF grade.
Really?
But yes, he was the second worst graded player on the defense.
That's what I'm talking. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they've got something for, but it doesn't make sense to me. Is this what you're talking about? This?
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It's just a big load of names, and I guess typically I think you have to be top right is a good thing, but then there's just so many of them. But to go back to the PFF thing is that, but the problem that I had was in my head, I felt guilty because I'm already watching the games now and thinking, I wonder what PFF thinks of this. And that's the problem. We've all been kind of tuned to pay so much attention to things like a PFF grade or a graph. And I think we've lost. I personally feel like I've lost the ability to just watch a game with my own eyes sometimes and go, in the NFL at least. With the college, I'm still prepared to do it. But in the NFL, I just go, watch he's playing well, without needing validation of some anonymous person on a website.
Yeah, I just watch it. I mean, what all those people do, it's fun, and it's and it put a lot of time and effort into it, and it gets views and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. I mean, there's just ways that people view football, and I've dealt with this a lot just because baseball is transformed this way for, I mean, it's more than a decade now, right? Where baseball's gone down this road. I tune on a baseball game or a football game, listen to a baseball game or anything, and I just watch it. And then whether my opinion's right or wrong, I don't know, whatever. It's just my opinion. And I'll be like, well, that player's good or that player stinks. And I watched the game last week, and yeah, I thought Ernest Jones played really well. I think of it as he plays middle linebacker, right? They once again held Connor for most part in check. Kyler Murray didn't hurt him. He has an interception, and an offense that moved up and down the field on the very first drive didn't do anything afterwards.
I think if for someone to get as bad a grade as he got it was funny actually. We had a look at it, and he had an almost identical grade that Russell Wilson had in the NFC Championship game in 2014 when he threw 4 interceptions against the Green Bay Packers. So, like, how could Ernest Jones be as bad as that? I know Russell obviously had a great throw at the end to win the game, but prior to that, it was a disaster. And they said that Ernest Jones was of a comparable ability. I just think with the stats thing, and look, it's not to look, analytics does have a part to play, and some stats are useful, but I do think we've got to a point now where people can just about find any stat they want to justify an opinion that they have and have argued a lot about on the internet, and you get to the point where you're just finding the one thing that validates your opinion.
Right. You find the one thing, and I've been guilty of it. You find the one thing, and then you're like, ignore the other thing. I mean, it's just. Yeah, it's for sure. I think it's jaded a lot of people, and I do think this though, and what I would say to those people that rely heavily on the analytics, I would say this: the majority of the base that follows you and likes you and reads you, watches you, listens to you, they don't care. They just don't. There's some, but it's a vocal minority. The majority, I'm telling you, just go to your favorite watering hole on a Sunday, sit down at the bar, order a light beer and a shot of whiskey, and just talk to the guy next to you about football, and then see if that guy next to you brings up that chart that we just showed or the DVOA or PFF. In fact, ask him about it. What do you think of that PFF grade of Ernest Jones? That guy's going to look at you in his Carhartt jacket going, what the fuck is that? What's PFF? I don't know. Ernest Jones looks pretty good to me. Yeah, I think we overcomplicated a lot.
Can I just say, we don't have any of this over here. Like with English football, it is still down to, well, he was bloody awful or he was really good. That's kind of where we're at with that.
There's no like PFF or DVOA for English football.
No, there's one analytic statistic which I think is universally kind of, and it's something called expected goals rather than how many you scored, what you should have scored based on the chances you had. But apart from that, it's pretty much just he was crap or he was good. So I'm
baseball's got a lot of that. Expected runs saved, runs scored, all that. Yeah. So very, very, very similar. Hey, I want to get into it. As a lengthy read, I'm telling you, it's a good one. A lot of information. The big offensive topics, the latest piece you wrote at SeahawksDraftBlog.com with the Seahawks draft Drew Allar, why coaching changes might be inevitable, Sam Darnold versus Geno Smith, and more. It's a great read. SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Go there. I'm going to share it with you right now. It's look, guys, kiddos, look at the extensive work this guy has done. I don't know how many thousands of words this is, but it's a lot. It is
3,500.
Oh my God, man. It's a lot. It's great. It's great stuff. I'm going to first start with Drew Allar because we got the draft, obviously, is a couple months away. They're going to be, hopefully, looking for a quarterback. That's not to mean we're pushing Geno Smith out. I'm just saying that they need to find a quarterback for the future. Drew Allar, what do you like about him?
Big, strong arm. After watching the Texas-Georgia game, obviously there's two very high-profile quarterbacks in that game in Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. They just didn't pop off the screen. And you then sort of switch over to Oregon against Penn State, and right off the bat, there's just a noticeable zip to Drew Allar's arm. He looks like he has the kind of arm that you would imagine playing in the NFL at a high level. He's big. He's almost identical in height and weight and frame to Josh Allen. That doesn't mean that he is Josh Allen. There's a lot of things about Josh Allen that are virtually perfect physically, and it remains to be seen whether Drew Allar can do that. But there were some really good throws in that game. Now, the problem with Drew Allar is that last season he was undraftable because he was far too erratic. And this year he played well within himself. Like, he does not throw the ball deep, whether that is by design or by conservatism on his behalf. He does not throw the ball deep pretty much at all. He's not thrown many big-time throws, despite the fact that he's got a big arm, or he's not had many turnover-worthy plays. So he's not taking risks. And you kind of always left wanting more, as you were with Penn State generally. Yeah. And then you watch that game at the weekend. He wasn't flawless. He had a couple of interceptions in the game. The first one was really bad through behind. But then he did create plays. The play, everyone's seen it now, where the guy's tugging his jersey or his under jersey, and like he's still like running away from the guy somehow and throws it into the tightest window for a touchdown. And little things like that get you excited. So he is not the kind of player that is going to essentially go in the top 5 as a wow, everyone's got to have this guy. But I do think he might go earlier than people think, because people are going to be mindful of the comparison physically to Josh Allen. And if people remember, Josh Allen stank at Wyoming, and he had 21 interceptions in his final 2 years.
He did. And it's funny that you brought up that comp in the piece, Allar and Allen. And I remember the hype about Josh Allen. I remember that final year. And I'd never seen him play. I don't think a lot of people had seen him play. And I remember watching the Oregon game. I'm like, I'm going to sit down and watch the Oregon game. I want to know what this is all about. This guy is all about, Josh Allen. And he was awful. Yeah. I mean, awful. I could pull it up what he had. I think he completed like 40% of his passes. It was terrible. And I said, I'm like, I don't get it. What's the hype about? I mean, he finally faced a good opponent, and they exposed him. Well, lo and behold, guys like me, shocker, we're all wrong. And, he's turned out he's going to be most likely, the NFL MVP this year.
But
so
Puck,
I guess I'm gonna pause and saying, because I watched Drew Allar like 2 or 3 times, and nothing like stands out to me other than his size. But I'm gonna pause and go, I don't know what he would look like in a different offense with a guy who wants to run a little bit more of an open offense and not this conservative James Franklin crap that he runs.
On Josh Allen, you were absolutely right to have that opinion. I mean, I thought he was a 3rd-round prospect based purely on physical talent.
Yeah.
Lance Zierlein, who's the draft expert who does a ton of brilliant work for NFL.com, and he's on that now. And I've got to know Lance a little bit, and I know how hard that he works. And he had a really low grade on Josh Allen going into that draft because the tape dictated that. And then he went to the Senior Bowl, and it was like, who is this guy? This isn't the Josh Allen I was watching at Wyoming. Like, he looks, and then he had his pro day. It's the best pro day I've ever seen. So it goes to show that sometimes, it really is about sort of like, has Drew Allar got the physical potential to be an excellent NFL quarterback? Yes. Are we seeing a finished product on the field at the minute? No. Does he pretty much tick every box that John Schneider has seemingly looked for at a quarterback physically over the years? Yes. Therefore, there's a chance that the Seahawks will draft him. And I think there's a chance the Seahawks will draft him a bit earlier than some fans will be comfortable with, because John Schneider, I'm convinced, Puck. I know there's people out there who think that John Schneider doesn't want to draft a quarterback unless the next Mahomes is staring at him in the face. I don't think it's that at all. I just think he needs someone who ticks the boxes specifically that he is looking for. And when that player is there, I think he's itching to draft a quarterback. And it may be, if Drew Allar declares that Drew Allar is the guy that he takes a chance on. He's not somebody that I've been singing about all offseason. This is just me being biased because I love the guy. That's not that at all. I genuinely think this is a player that John Schneider might like enough to draft and develop.
What you may have mentioned earlier, and I apologize, where do you think he falls? What areas?
I think he's going to go on. I think at the minute, a conservative estimate would be day 2. So that's round 2 or round 3. He's got the college football playoff coming up. If he leads Penn State to a great run, his stock will go through the roof. Equally, if he just, has a lousy game in the playoff and they get knocked out in the first round, then he may think about returning, or he may be more likely to go round 3, round 4. At the minute, I would say, I think there's a decent chance that round 2 will be where he is taken.
Okay. Before we wrap up, in that article that you wrote, which again is just great. Go check it out. SeahawksDraftBlog.com. We've talked a lot. Last week was a lot about Ryan Grubb's future. And your point is not that you want to push him out, or that's not the question that you're asking in that piece is he the guy that Mike Macdonald wants moving forward? That just maybe there's some signs that maybe that it's not quite the right fit, but we shall see, and we'll wait toward, and you said this last week, we'll wait toward towards the end of the season, or to the end of the season, to make just a final judgment on Ryan Grubb. It is interesting, though, when you brought it up, because you were like, well, if they did move on from him, there's an internal candidate on their staff now, and I'm like, well, who the hell's that? So tell everybody, the internal candidate who you think, if they were to maybe move on from Grubb, who would that be?
It's a guy called Jake Pete. So Peter King wrote an article at the end of last season talking about offensive coordinator candidates, and it was quite interesting because the Seahawks were looking for a new offensive coordinator at the time, with Mike Macdonald coming in, and Pete's was on that list, very highly rated, has been around the block, has been a running backs coach, has been, passing game coordinator, has been passing game specialist, worked with the quarterbacks in LA, has been around the block, has worked in the NFL, still a young coach, has been in college as well with LSU. So, he is somebody who's quite interesting, apparently very highly rated at the Rams, and they were said to be quite disappointed when he left to join Seattle. I was a little bit surprised that he came to Seattle, thought it was a great appointment. And at the time when he was appointed, wrote, I think they're setting the table for if Ryan Grubb gets poached in the future, because we were talking about if you don't hire an offensive coordinator and they move on, it can disrupt everything. Right. As if your head coach is not an offensive-minded person. So I thought they were setting the table for, hey, you've got Grubb, and then if Grubb gets a job somewhere else, then you've got the next guy. But I actually wonder whether or not what they've done is they've filled their staff with people who they wanted to assess, have a look at, see how they fit. And I just think, whether Grubb goes or not, there are going to be some changes to this staff in the offseason. Macdonald's never worked with any of these guys before. This was a whole new staff. Some people are going to really fit and they've clicked and they are good together, and some are not. And I do think it has been a noticeable difference in the way that Mike Macdonald has talked about the offense and Ryan Grubb in his press conferences. He was asked about Adam Durdy, the British defensive coordinator, this week, and he went, he's absolutely fantastic, he's unbelievable. In fact, I don't want him to get a job anywhere else, so I'm just going to say he sucks or something like that. So, that's a very notable difference in the way that he's been speaking about the offense and Durdy there. So, look, I appreciate I could be completely wrong, and there might be parsing a little bit here, but I do think that everything will be on the table, everything will be reviewed. If Grubb moved on, it wouldn't mean he's a bad coach. It may just be that Mike Macdonald just wants to go in a different direction. Yeah. We will see in a few weeks. I think the interesting thing is if Pete ended up being the offensive coordinator, that prior connection with Sean McVay, and Pete's replaced Kevin O'Connell in LA when he took the Minnesota job. I'm just increasingly wondering whether the Seahawks are going to be one of these teams looking at Sam Darnold. He's younger than Geno Smith. He was unbelievable at the weekend. I don't know if anybody saw that, 5 touchdown performance against the Falcons. He now has 28 touchdowns for the season to 10 interceptions. That's twice as many touchdowns as Geno Smith has. I'd say 7 years younger. Schneider was at his pro day back in the day. He plays in the way that Schneider likes his quarterbacks to play. I just wonder. I mean, if Geno Smith is gangbusters to the end of the season and leads them to the playoffs, wins a playoff game, then it becomes a bit of a moot point. And they may just prefer that continuity of keeping Geno Smith and progressing that way. That's absolutely true. But I've never truly felt that Schneider was totally sold on Geno. And, if it ends up being Pete's, maybe there would be some continuity there with him joining another McVay protege in Pete's and coming to Seattle. We'll see.
Go read all of the work. It's a fantastic breakdown. I mean, there's so much more that we could get to. We're going to run out of time. But Rob Staton's piece, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Read it. It goes in depth just talking about the offensive fixes in the offseason, talking about Grubb and Geno and making the argument because of the cost. Sam Darnold, Drew Allar. It's terrific work. As always, there by Rob. Rob Staton Show brought to you by Superior Linen Service. Family owned and operated since 1926. Committed to delivering the highest quality products and services to the greater Puget Sound area. Get your free quote today at suplinen.com. Give them a call, 253-383-2636. Follow Rob on X at Rob Staton. Again, the YouTube channel, which he does recorded shows, live shows. Just did one this past week there with his buddy Jeff Simmons. Go check it out. Rob Staton Football there on YouTube, and his post-game show after every Seahawks game, which will be a early one for him because it's a night game. What time? You'll be going on at like
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
I put the day off work. I mean, my wife doesn't know it yet, but we were supposed to be doing something that day. And then I remember the Packers game was prime time, so we probably won't be doing anything that day.
I'm gonna Corey Lineker wants to ask me a question. I don't know who this guy is. Marcus Rashford. I test crap or not? Okay, so I don't know who this is. I'm assuming he's an English football player.
He's an English football player. He's an England international player for Manchester United. Look, when Marcus Rashford's at his best, he's fantastic. And when he had the last World Cup, and then after that, he was superb. But there's a reason why he wasn't in the England squad for the Euros, and that's because he's gone completely off the boil and probably needs to move away from Manchester and restart his career because it's not going well.
All right, I asked it for you there, Corey. All right, I got it for you. We snuck it in. All right, Rob, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
There he is, Rob Staton. Again, that entire episode will be up on YouTube. Go to YouTube, our YouTube channel, Puck Sports. Subscribe there, please, if you have not done so already. Rob's appearance will be up there if you'd like to watch it. You want to listen to it, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com. Well, he's been waiting, and he's angry. He's in Dallas. Ryan Divish with us. The winter meetings is underway, has been underway. His weekly appearance brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, proudly serving the community since 1941, located in Tacoma's historic Proctor District. Chalet Bowl, family owned and operated for 40 years. The Ryan Divish Show brought to you by Chalet Bowl, chaletbowl.com. Thank you, sir. I know you're working hard there in Dallas. How's it been? How much free food have you and the riders consumed?
We don't get free food here. They don't have any of a media spread. They have free diet soda, free sodas. That's about it. I don't know. And it's like being the healthy folks that we are. The DoorDash business in Dallas right now is off the hook, going like crazy. So.
All right, give us the latest buzz. What do you know? Give us something juicy.
About the Mariners?
Yes, please. The Mariners. Are we in the red zone yet?
No, I don't think so. No, and it's like just now the news broke that the White Sox are trading Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox for 4 prospects. So that kind of lessens the market on, places you can trade a pitcher. I mean, I think the Red Sox actually still go get another pitcher. They probably need to, but it was I didn't think that was going to happen right now, a trade for a starting pitcher, because they kind of have to wait to see what they're going to do with the rest of their roster and if they can get a free agent or if they can complete another trade. So it's been pretty quiet. I didn't expect there to be, just given how the market is, like who they're looking to sign and stuff, or who they're looking to acquire. As Jerry said, it's a pretty small window. Like they don't, they're balling on a budget, as the young kids say.
4 prospects. We've talked about this, right? This is why it has made so much sense to trade Luis Castillo. If they can get him to waive his no-trade clause. You see the contracts all these guys are signing for. Max Fried the other day, he's getting $212 million there for the Yankees. And now Garrett Crochet commands 4 prospects. I don't know. Maybe you have information on these guys. I don't know how highly regarded these guys are. I'm sure there's a couple of them that at least are. In order to pull off that trade. But this is what we've been talking about. He is your biggest trade piece because of the lack of starting pitching in baseball. And and for what he makes, he's a fucking bargain.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you look at it, Luis Severino and Nathan Eovaldi signed for more money. Castillo's owed $22.75 each of the next 3 years. There's an option and kind of a weird vesting option in that too, where you get another year. But Fried gets 218 million. Evaldi gets 75 over 3. Severino gets 70 over 3. It's and then don't forget about Blake Snell. What did he get? A couple $100 million. So it's like that you look around, and the Mariners do have a surplus, and they have a supply that is in demand. And so the one thing is what they're looking for in return isn't always out there, because like the White Sox, it was easy for the White Sox to make that deal. Everybody knew they're going to make that deal at some point to trade Garrett Crochet. They're looking for prospects so they can get a quantity over like a major league player. The Mariners need major league hitters. They need major league help, and that's the needle they're trying to thread. And there just isn't a lot. I mean, like the Cubs might do it. The Red Sox would still probably do it, with the right deal for Triston Casas, because I think they're going to try and sign Alex Bregman. But it's all kind of timing on when it happens. But like it is one less team that maybe, or one less trade partner that they don't have anymore, and that's difficult. And it's weird though, because I don't think I don't think it's posturing. I don't think they really want to trade Castillo. And sometimes that's when you get the best deals, is when you really don't want to trade a player because you just ask for the absurd. And at some point, somebody gets panicked enough to give you the absurd. The Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Red Sox, teams with a lot of money, still need help. And so it still could be out there. And I think once Roki Sasaki signs up on, sometime after January 15th, that demand could go up again, because like teams will be looking around. Well, we didn't get him. We still need a pitcher. Let's go to Seattle again.
Well, let's walk through that. If they didn't, and I'm not saying I don't believe you or believe them that they don't want to trade Castillo, but if they don't want to trade Castillo, that would open up the door to trade one of the younger guys, because they've been very upfront with you guys and the rest of the world that they want Roki Sasaki.
No, they really don't want to trade any of the young guys. If they got Sasaki, then they would shop Castillo and then try and run it with the young guys. And I think they'd run like what they call like a modified 6-man rotation if they got to Sasaki, to protect him, because he's pitched every 6th day in Japan. And they could do Emerson Hancock or one of the other younger prospects to do it that way if they moved Castillo. And that would be the impetus where they really push hard to move Castillo's if they got Roki Sasaki. The problem is in that too, though, is like you're doing that so late in the market, and you'll free up $22 million a year for this year and the next 3 years. There might not be much out there to go get. Then you're looking at, just like when they signed AJ Pollock late that year, they had a little bit more money, left over than they thought, so they went out and got Pollock because there wasn't a whole lot out there. I don't think the market will close up that fast. And what they could do is, like, if they have money, like if they were to trade Castillo or whatever, the money they free up allows them to trade for a player like Nico Horner, who has, who's owed some money. And that's how they would make it work. Because right now, like, they have roughly $15 to $17 million to spend, somewhere in that area, and they have needs at 3 positions. So I just don't know how you do that. I mean, like they essentially probably, I don't see them going out and spending any money on an established reliever of any sort. They're just going to try and build one through waiver claims and stuff like that, like they've done in the past.
Okay, Castillo. I lost my train of thought, which is a shocker. Castillo, do we know, is he willing to waive it? Do we have any idea if he's willing to waive the no trade clause?
Yeah, I think so. I think he would for the right team. You could probably rule out, the Yankees spent on Fried, but you probably rule out the Yankees because he'd have to cut his dreads, and there's no way he's cutting his dreads. So
what about the Dodgers?
I think every player wants to go to the Dodgers because they can win a ring. He'd waive it for that. And if you really, sometimes if a team really wants it, they just pay him $1 million to waive the trade clause, no trade clause. That's what happened with Gene Segura when they traded him. He had a no trade clause. You just buy it out, have them pay for it, and that's how you do it.
All right, I want to go back. You, me, and Jude. I was pestering you guys the other day about this, and you mentioned it earlier. Just speaking of the Red Sox, I'm a village idiot. So before you just slam me, just understand that I'm a village idiot. the Triston Casas, I don't quite understand it. Not that the Mariners pursuing him. I don't understand why the Red Sox would want to move on from him. I understand that they want to get Bregman and then they move Devers and all that. This guy is a young left-hand hitting first baseman who has shown power in that park too. Why are they so open to moving him? Is it just because they need pitching and this is a surplus of pitching with Seattle? Is that why?
I think that's part of it. I mean, I'm sure people I talk to the Red Sox, they're fine if they don't trade him, but they know that that's a value piece because like a lot of the teams they're talking to about starting pitching other than the White Sox want major league returns. So the Red Sox look at it as like, well, we can do it that way. You know, if they were to sign Bregman, they could put Bregman at, third base, move Rafael Devers over to first base. I don't know that they would do it right away. Bregman said he would play second base if that was the case. But they would do it that way. They just kind of maneuver. And I think also you look at it, there are first basemen on the free agent market and Boston has money to spend. Mm-hmm. So they could spend on a free agent bat, move Casas, get your pitchers, sign a third baseman as well or whatever, or a second baseman and do it that way. They have a couple, they didn't trade their best prospect, Marcelo Meyer, in that deal with Crochet. I think Kyle Teal, the catcher, was like their third best prospect. So they have some ways of doing it. Like I said, I don't think they really want to trade Casas, but at the same time, like there's a reason also why he's available. He's only got a few years left of club control. And there have been a lot of kind of he just hasn't played in a lot of games because of injuries, and some of them are fluky, but like this rib cartilage thing that he tore the cartilage in his ribs, kept him out for a long time, and it kind of sapped his numbers. And some people think that because of the big body, he's huge. He's a huge dude. Yeah. But he's want to be one of those guys that has a lot of soft tissue injuries and is going to, be on and off the IL.
When you saw yesterday, I don't know if you think it's a fit or not. When I looked at what the Rangers gave up for Jake Burger, I thought, well, that didn't seem like much. Would Jake Burger have been a fit for Seattle? I mean, he can play two positions in which they need to fill.
I don't think he can really play either position. He can stand over there.
Okay, fair point. He's a warm body at both.
Jake Burger's body is fitting of his name.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
I know he's built a lot he's like if you put me and you together into one person.
Okay, all right.
I guess it's like must be just kind of what the Marlins were looking for in terms of prospects, and I don't know that Burger fits in the sense that like he strikes out a fair amount. There's a lot of all or nothing power, and they really are. It's not like the Jerry kind of thing before about strikeouts. They are trying to get better about at least just putting the ball in play, maybe not necessarily strikeouts, but being more consistent. And I don't know that Burger fit that. I mean, he is a right-handed bat, so he would have worked well in that platoon with Luke Raley. I think the Mariners are kind of really hoping that they can get something done with Carlos Santana in the next week. And then that kind of shores up that spot because Santana is a good defensive player and he is a good leader and a good mentor, and it would be good for Julio and all those things. So I think that's their priority, I think, right now at first base is just to get Santana signed and then go from there. And then the math could change as well if they do something with the double Mitch-Witch and do something there. But it's right. Yeah, I just didn't think – I was surprised that the Marlins are moved in, but the Marlins barely have a team. Like they don't even have a whole coaching staff yet, So it's sort of weird that what they're doing, but, they're trying to just clear out everything and start over.
What did you make of DePoto's comments? I mean, I think I know what he's doing, and he's talking about, we've got a lot of people that are calling about our prospects, right? And he mentioned Locklear and he mentioned Young, and he said, I think the quote was, "They're ready to go." And I'm thinking, and the reaction from most fans was, "Well, they're fucking ready to go. Put them in the lineup. Like, what are we waiting for?" I mean, I know what he's doing. He's trying to create the market for these guys, but. We've seen Locklear, but Young. I mean, what are we talking about with him? Late this season at all?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they may start him at AAA. I was kind of surprised by that because he didn't start all last year at AA. He was moved up, Mm-hmm. But it sounds like they may start him and this Ben Williamson kid at AAA and kind of see if they can handle it. I mean, it's a better hitters league. once you're at AAA, and really with the Mariners, if you're at AA, you have a chance. I think we'll see. I think it'll be very enlightening when, Cole Young is playing a lot this spring to see where he's at and how he handles it. He's pretty young, and I think that would be a huge jump for him. He's very talented, but it would be a pretty huge jump. So, yeah, I think it's, they can sit there and say, we think they're getting close to being ready. But, I mean, ready, it's one thing to debut. It's another thing to be successful. It's like there are a lot of players that are ready to get up there, but can they sustain? Can they stay up there is the idea, is like getting up there and then staying up there. You don't want to do anything detrimental that hurts them, so they're back up and down and their development gets marred. So I think they're saying that, like the combination of, I know I heard you and Jim complaining about the combination of Dylan Moore and Ryan Bliss and all that stuff. I think that's their fallback plan. And I think they realize with what the market is and stuff like that, and some of the trade stuff, that maybe have to be a fill-in, at least at second base, until they, figure out what more they can do, whether it's Cole Young being ready by midseason or they go out and get somebody at the deadline if they're still in it,
But you think that opening day and whoever they're playing, they run out there, their second base answer is Moore and Bliss.
Yeah, I don't really I really see another path. I mean, unless they're at third base and they've got Nico Horner or they got some other second baseman instead and they move those guys to third base. But I do see that one of the infield positions will be a platoon of some sort, or the utility guys piecing it together until they, come up with a better solution.
What do they do at third, Ryan?
I don't know. That's the thing, is they'll have to trade for a guy, or there isn't a great third base market unless, like you look at the third baseman on the market and they're not great. But I guess if you could get one of those guys on like a 1 year, $5 million prove it deal, then you go that route. I mean, I know that like the Rockies for the first time have like been willing to shop Ryan McMahon and some of those guys, but the Mariners just don't have money. That's the thing. Even the guys you trade, those guys come with salary. So it's, an established guy is arbitration eligible, so you have to budget that in. So like I said, if you're working with 15 million, let's say they can get Carlos Santana for 1 year at 5 million or 1 year at 6 million. Okay. So then that leaves you with what? Roughly 10. We'll give him 16 million. Okay. That's roughly 10 million. That doesn't pay Nico Horner's salary. He's making 11.5, and you can go over that. I mean, it's like not a hard number. And maybe if you're giving up somebody to get something, and that's what I think the frustrating part is like, and I said this with Adam, they're building a roster. They're trying to build a roster with such high limitations that it doesn't lead to logical success, because you're just trying to work the fringes and all this stuff so much and hoping for bounce backs and all this other stuff that it sets you up for failure a lot more easily than if you can just go out and buy known commodities that aren't, like you're not like even last year, Mitch Garver was a nice hitter for the Rangers, and he's always been a good hitter when he's healthy, but there were red flags, and he was 34 years old. Yeah. And you were asking him to DH, which is something he never really done, full-time DH, all that kind of stuff. Like, all these different things you're trying to do to operate within the margins, like you're the Tampa Bay Rays, when you don't have to be the Tampa Bay Rays if your ownership just invests a little bit more. And I think that's been the biggest problem.
There's a question from our chat. I'm just curious, Derek. Asked Harry Ford, can he play first or third? Have they ever asked him to do that? I know they put an outfield glove, right, for a couple of games last year.
They played some left field. He just wanted at bats and stuff. Okay. Harry Ford played some third base in high school, but his value is as a catcher. Yeah. Look at the catching market right now, and like what people are paying and what people are trying to get. So it's like I don't really see that that's a way to get it. I think the way to get it is moving a guy and trading Harry Ford and somebody, which they tried to do all last offseason or all last season at the deadline, packaging Harry Ford and another guy to get something more. And I think if he was closer to being big league ready, he would have a little bit higher value, but there's still, he's at AA last year. Yeah. He'll go to AAA this year. It's just, he hasn't kind of progressed on the timeline that a lot of people thought for being so athletic. But I think there is value now with Harry Ford because he is moving closer, and, he's not, and I think that's another thing. He's so athletic, but he hasn't become as high level of a defensive player as a lot of people thought he would be because he's so athletic. So I don't look at him as a guy that's a major league answer. That's the problem. If you look at their top prospect list, they're rated real high, where they have 6 or 7 in the top 100. But Logan Evans and Cole Young are the only ones that you look to right now as guys that would contribute this year in any way.
I'm going to tell you right now, man, I'm not.
I know you're not inspired.
I'm not inspired at all.
I mean, like,
it makes me so depressed.
I'm not trying to shit on them or like Dipoto or anything like that. It's just, it's the reality of the situation, you know? And I mean, like, look, the Roki Sasaki thing, do I think that I would put, like, you know how we get the odds of like next coach or the odds who's going to sign what? Yeah. Like, obviously the Padres and Dodgers should be like 2-1 that he does or whatever, but the Mariners should be higher than like the Yankees and Red Sox, because I think that given that how this kid has learned how to pitch and everything else and all this stuff, the Mariners can make a legitimate and viable pitch to him about coming to the place with the best rotation, and also like how they handle their pitching staff and how they try and keep them healthy and all the new wave stuff that they do to help a person have success. You know, the small market stuff and everything like that just keeps everybody in, but everybody should be in because it's minimal money to invest in. So, you know, I like that small market thing. Everybody latched. I heard Joel Wolf say that. Like, I was in that scrum. I made Adam do the story and go up to the very middle of that huge pile of people. And then
it was a big pile, man.
Yeah, he got people leaning on him and stuff, you know, and like his hair was getting messed up and everything like that. So, but I'm listening. I heard Joel Wolf say that about, he might like the small market more because the Japanese media has been so hard on him. He's under such a microscope. I mean, yeah, that's nice, but Ohtani said the same thing when he came over the first time, that he wasn't comfortable in huge markets. And he went to the Angels, who are not like the hugest, the team. The thing is, the Sasaki's going to have, wherever he goes, there's going to be 50 or 60 Japanese reporters following him. So it doesn't matter in that regard. It matters. It's his fit. Like, where is he the most comfortable?
Because you and I were both around when Ichiro was here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable how many reporters and media followed him on a daily basis.
I mean, hell,
I've never seen anything like it.
Kikuchi had like 12 reporters following him at all times. This is Kikuchi. This is Roki Sasaki, who's been a phenom since he's 15 years old. Like, they're going to have a small army following him. So, I just think if the Mariners, the pitch that they have is about the pitching aspect and the path to success. And maybe if you're Sasaki, you look at it this way, is like, I got to go there and do whatever, how many years he has. And then all of a sudden, boom, but they'll help me get better so that I can get the contract I really want.
Right.
You know, do they develop me the best? Because, like, you know, it's nice about the Dodgers, they go there, but like how many of their starting pitchers are hurt? You know, like I don't know. It's just a weird deal. So I would still say the Padres are probably the favorite.
But he said, was it him or people that have speculated that he doesn't want to go play somewhere where there's, quote, this Japanese mentor?
Well, I think that, so it's like the Kohai Senpai thing, you know, if you've ever watched the movie Rising Sun with Sean Connery, one of the better movies ever.
Yeah, great.
But like the way he said it was, it wasn't needed. It wasn't that he didn't want it, but like they felt like, you know, with Darvish or Yamamoto or these guys at these other places that would, you know, be big for him. But like, this guy's been a rock star essentially, like I said, since he was in high school.
Yeah.
And you're throwing 100 at 17 years old. And so I think he doesn't need that. So I don't think like the Ichiro thing hurts them, but it's going to be also about the presentations. He's actually it sounds like he's going to go visit some of the cities. So they'll the way it sounds is like everybody's going to submit presentations, PDFs, and, you know, I think the Mariners, like you said, they have a video. I'm sure
Ichiro's going to be a part of it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. And I think Sashi Iwakuma still works for the organization, you know, and so I think Kaz Sasaki's still around. So you could, you know,
I can't hear Iwakuma and not think of what's his name, the former president.
Oh yeah, I know.
The drinker on the Zoom call. What's the guy's name? Why am I
Kevin Mather.
And this Iwakuma guy who wants us to pay for his interpreter.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm sure it'll be slick. I believe, I'm pretty certain, like when they did the Ohtani video that they put together for Ohtani, they used the production crew that did their commercials. Remember how smart they were and how put together there. So it's like, and if you've been to a Mariners game, like their pre-production stuff, like the stuff they run on the board,
they'll
they're really
nail
good.
that.
They're good at marketing themselves.
Yeah.
And then the one thing though was like we're sitting there listening, and I was with me and Adam, and then this Jordan Schusterman from Sester's Family Barbecue. And Joe Wolf goes, Roki's very reserved, and in some of the meetings, he had some issues with people talking too much and coming at him too much. And Adam's just like, well, that might be a problem for Jerry then. So,
don't let Jerry be a part of the meeting.
Well, but yeah, I mean,
can't be a part of it.
They have a viable chance, Puckett. I mean, it's a puncher's chance. I think it's better than, and a lot of people believe they finished second for Ohtani, that they were the next team. But that changes the game. Like if they get him, they can do a whole different level of things, because again, then he's making the same amount as Brian Wu and Bryce Miller. It's like
stupid.
Yeah, and so that it would just be a game changer. And then that's where they could trade Castillo because then teams that are vying for Sasaki might all of a sudden need a starting pitcher. And we, as you well know too, like so much will change in the next month or two, or the next few weeks. I mean, we see these trades now, and once these other pitchers start to sign, it's all like that. Once Corbin Burns signs, all of a sudden, like if the Orioles don't have a guy, if they don't get a starting pitcher or two, they're going to have to start looking around and say, do we trade Jordan Westbrook? Do we trade Heston Kjerstad? Do we have to trade some of these guys because we don't have any pitching? And, you have this huge lineup. You just spent the money on Tyler O'Neill, and then, you got to go out and get some pitching. So maybe I do think being patient and not jumping at the first offer they receive, if they are doing that, would be ideal. And I know, like, they sit there and say, we're not shopping. They'll listen to any deal. And they go into it like, so like the Cubs call and say, look, we'll package Nico Horner, but we really want something with Bryce Miller instead. The Mariners will say, okay, we'll listen, but here's what we're thinking on this, because we're going to want the moon, controllable starting pitching that's young and that's good. Mm-hmm. It's be interesting. And then, honestly, if we were doing this one, would you trade Randy Arozarena and a prospect for Kyle Tucker?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We only get Tucker for 1 year.
But I was just going to say yes, but then
we only have Randy for 2.
But then I'm seeing reports that have $400 million, and then I'm like,
well, you'll never be able to re-sign him to an extension, but you get him for 1 year.
What kind of prospect am I talking about here?
Las Montez, the next Alvarez.
Everybody loves this guy, right? I saw him play actually.
Baby Jordan.
Yeah.
So you send Las Montez and Randy Arozarena.
Fuck it, why not? Yeah, I'm tired of prospects. I know what Kyle Tucker can do.
1 year of Kyle Tucker.
With that bat, yes.
I mean, how many bombs has he hit in T-Mobile, or just missiles to right field?
He likes hitting there. Yeah, sure. And yeah.
I don't know that the Mariners would do that, but but essentially they only have Randy for this year and next year.
Yeah.
And I think we all believe that, like, say something were to go drastically wrong and they were bad at the deadline, that they would move Randy.
Yeah.
At the deadline, because he has a year left besides this, and so his value is the highest point, and he gets a little more expensive. He'll make 12 this year, I think, or whatever. So he could be up to like 16 next year. Do we really think they're going to pay Randy Arozarena $16 million next year?
No.
And so that's I mean, again, that's why, like I said it before, like they'll listen to deals on all those guys because they have to be creative in how they do this stuff because it's so finite.
Hey, I love the hypothetical, man. I fucking love
it.
I'm in.
You're my favorite conspiracy theorist. And when I'm watching the draft yesterday, and
which I didn't know, I had zero idea it was some draft lottery.
I had no idea. I didn't even know that they qualified for the lottery. But then they got 0.5, so I'm kind of watching, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'm looking at what are the Mariners picking, because we're just going to write a note on it. We're just going to put it in our daily thing.
Yeah.
And Adam went to it because it's in the hotel. I was watching it so I could post it. And then I start going, and then all of a sudden they're at 3. Well, didn't the Mariners just agree to join Rob Manfred's consortium of teams to go under the MLB production umbrella?
Is that
here?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's out there now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're going to join the MLB production umbrella and join that little consortium of teams that are starting to band together.
Give us the third pick.
Yeah, a little handshake. Hey, John, you want to join this? Like this is tinfoil hat, or
I'm in.
We're down here in Texas. It's like cut up an armadillo and put the shell on top of your head.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the conspiracy theory and all of that.
Hey, with under that agreement, do you know? Does that so MLB runs the whole thing for Root Sports, right?
Yeah, they run the production from back east, I think.
So that means there's no more Root Sports camera people. I mean, they hire those people to run the cameras.
So
but what does that do to the pre and post game show? They just don't have it.
I think they have a smaller one, but I mean, yeah, that's the thing. And I know Adam had some people from, and I did too, because we had double bylines on that. Adam got some grief, and I did too, about the line business as usual in that story about Root. But the thing is like, we were trying to talk about people being able to watch it because the flagship station they aggregated Evan Drellick's story and said, hey, the Mariners broadcast situation is changing. No, it's not. It's not changing. How it's because then I start getting emails from Mabel and Yakima. I'm wondering if she's going to be able to watch the Mariners on.
For those who don't, it's not changing.
No,
you still watch it on Root Sports. It's just not going to be produced by Root Sports anymore. It'll be produced by Major League Baseball. It's under their umbrella.
Yeah.
How does it change? I don't know. I just don't think you probably won't have you're not going to have a half an hour pregame show anymore. You're not going to have a half an hour postgame show anymore. And I'll be honest, I don't know who's under full contract over there.
No, and that's the thing. So I do think and from what I've been told, John Staton hasn't notified anybody really what's going on or gone met with them. And maybe
I know that to be a case. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he will in the next week or two. But like a lot of people, I've got, I know a lot of people at Root Sports, and I get a lot of text messages. Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Because they're always like, you and Adam seem to hear from them more than we do.
That's not the way you should do business, man. That's just not the way you should treat people.
And I think a lot of stuff was still up in the air until that last owners meeting where we saw Evan's report and everything else. I think they're still trying to hammer it out because the one thing is like Root's streaming product for local people is not great either. It's hard to get. You have to have a subscription, and they're hammering it out. I don't think the Mariners can just absolve Root Sports because they have contracts with all these providers out there.
Right. And then the other thing just for people to know, if Major League Baseball takes it over, you're not going to get the MLB TV. That you're not going to be able to stream it. That's not part of it. It's as you said, it's business as usual of how you consume it for at least another year, and then maybe it changes.
But I do know that like some of the production staff that they have over there are pretty much trying to find new jobs. Now, like I said, MLB will, because you have to have people on the ground to do it,
right.
But they'll get hired back as contractors per se. I don't think they'll get hired as, and then you're like in the grown-up world we live in, benefits, health insurance, all that stuff matters.
Of course.
Yeah, and I don't like. I mean, what am I going to do with Kruger's keys to the game if they don't have that before every game?
I like Kruger's keys.
I know,
to the
but Bartles and James get up there.
Bartles and James. I mean, I like it all. I want it all back.
But yeah,
I want Angie taking grounders at second.
And that's been really, I mean, if you look at the content of the pregame show, it's been really reduced. They weren't investing money into it. And how do you attract sponsors to it when it's a non-fluid situation and you're not investing in time and effort into it?
And then what is spring training going to be like? Is it going to be like the game changer thing they did last year again?
From what I've been told, and this isn't like, they are going to try and run with that as much as possible so they can get every home game. Because my guess is they'll have 7 or 8 games en route. It's usually the night games they'll have or whatever, or they'll pick up the feed. Sometimes they can simulcast the feed from like the Dodgers broadcast or whatever. So they could do that. But yeah, they debuted that thing, the cameras last year, and I've been told they're putting in cameras and they're, they can hire some cameramen. It's just, it was figuring out how to produce the game and like, all the stuff they do. I'll be really interested too, because like, we with the MLB producing it, do they get to have all their in-house ads and stuff? Rick Griffin talking about prostate cancer, the doctors from Fred Hutch, Piper out at the Penn trying different things, Jen, promoting their
the cooking class, the cooking show.
No, Jen on the concourse promoting the Mariners Cares auctions and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I mean, like you go back and you watch a Mariners game, there's a lot of in-house advertising for their products. And so I don't know that under MLB that they'll be able to do that. They have that freedom. So I'm really interested to see how this works. We haven't obviously got a lot of details. Obviously the people at Root haven't got a lot of details. So I think in the coming months or weeks, we'll have an idea. I mean, we don't even know who's gonna, what they're gonna do with the broadcast situation. I talked to my buddy Mike Farron, and he's just like, why have they not promoted Gary yet? Why have they not just announced it? Promoted Gary?
Oh, on the radio side.
Yeah, and then why have they not promoted that? And because I think we all know that Goldie's going to be full time, and I do say this:
full time TV.
Yeah, I think so. I can't imagine he'll do radio. He wants to do the TV side.
Okay.
I can't imagine Angie won't be a part of it because she's under contract with Root, and because I thought she did a heck of a job last year.
She's good. She's really good.
I know a lot of guys don't. There's the guys.
Well, there's a sexism element to it, Ryan. They don't want to hear a woman tell them about sports. I mean, there's that element of it.
She is more prepared than anybody. I mean, it's not like me walking in there. I don't know.
I've talked to her plenty of times. She knows baseball as good as anyone. And anybody out there.
Anytime she was on the broadcast, she's in there talking to players, talking to the coaches. She goes over to the other clubhouse. Meanwhile, me and Jude are playing with Tucker. That. It's
or sitting in DeWitt's room.
Yeah, sitting in DeWitt's room, and so it's no, I don't know. We haven't heard any of that. There's and people really care about that stuff. It's
part of. They're in their house. They're in their living rooms every night.
I would love for Gary to get promoted to radio, and then they tell Curto, hey, when these guys go on breaks for vacations and stuff in season, you're the guy we call up on a part-time, because Curto, I don't think Curto would do it. It's a major league job. He never, he's filled in a couple of times. If they offered him a major league job, he would do it. But Riz isn't getting any younger. That's for certain. So it's they're going to have to start making these decisions, but I think they don't really know how their product's going to be put out there either. So it's a really interesting deal. What else you got?
That's it. How many more days are we there?
I'm flying out tomorrow morning. Most everybody, the meeting's technically in kind of tonight.
Okay.
And everybody leaves after the Rule 5 draft or whatever. But because I live in southeast or south central Canada, I can't get a flight out tonight, and then I'd have to either stay at an airport hotel there or whatever, and then fly back to Montana tomorrow. So I'm just going to do it all in one shot. I mean, I took a red eye here this time, so I was living.
I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it. Okay, I got one more before you go. You can only have one. Okay. The wife in Landman or the daughter?
Oh my God.
I think it's a pretty simple answer.
The daughter is that's just creepy. The daughter, that would be just creepy.
Well, she's in college.
When I watched that show with my
mom, the correct answer is the wife, the mom.
Yeah. But that's a lot of crazy.
Oh, that's a lot of. Are you all caught up?
Yeah, I am.
The dinner scene was great.
Yeah, I like watching that show with my girlfriend and her daughter there, and they have those scenes. I feel like the Nate guy that doesn't like any of that and just is uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable.
That just pounds the drink.
Yeah, because I got the lawyer guy, I got
Nate. I love Nate. Oh, yeah. You're talking about Nate the lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah, I got my girlfriend sitting next to me, so you don't want to stare too hard at Allie Larder. Get into it. Or the daughter, which is just creepy.
Yeah,
so
Nate plays that great, man. It's a great. Anytime the daughter comes in, what the hell's the daughter's name? Why am I blank on her name?
Ainsley, I think.
Ainsley, yeah.
Yeah,
God, I love Billy Bob. He's so fucking good in it.
He's
just so good.
I love because about every third show, Taylor Sheridan writes up this rant. So Billy Bob's rant about wind and solar was great.
Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, God, that makes a lot of sense. I shouldn't be getting solar.
Yeah, as you drive your Prius around, and then John Hamm's John Hamm's.
The last one.
Yeah, where he just goes off the, and it is true in a lot of ways. It's, you're like, oh my God, this is great. So I love that because I like the writing and how you craft that. It's a lot he writes like in a pattern, kind of like Sorkin would write West Wing and stuff, the way the characters talk.
Right.
So my girlfriend called me. She's like, have you watched the latest episode of Landman yet? Because I was on the road. I go, no. She goes, it gets really dark at the end. I didn't like it. And I was like, oh God, so I watched it on the plane. Yeah. I watched it on the plane, and there's a guy sitting next to me in a couple of scenes. He's like looking at me like, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah, it gets a little dark. I just love that he pounds Mick Ultra and just doesn't think it's alcohol.
I mean, like that kid that plays his son really could be his son, because there's a lot of similarities in their looks and everything.
Right.
Yeah, pounds Mick Ultra because it's non-alcoholic. Honey, I'm an alcoholic. You want to give me wine? And she goes, well, you're drinking a beer. He goes, there's no beer in this. There's no alcohol in this.
So good.
If your Mick Ultra is like, is that your new marketing campaign, Mick Ultra? We don't have that
should alcohol. Be. I would be. I'd lean right into it.
You know how bad of a headache I would have if I consumed that many Mick Ultras in one day?
Oh,
like I will tell you this though.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Theo Epstein, Miller Lite drinker. Huh? He was at the bar the other night.
Love it.
Yeah, Eric Davis, Miller Lite.
Love Miller Lite.
Eric Davis, the former Red, who's still like the coolest dude I've ever seen.
Miller Lite's a great choice. Yeah. If you want to go light, a little less calories, Miller Lite's.
It's the best domestic golf beer.
100%.
The best craft golf beer I've ever had is the Bale Breaker.
The Bale Breaker Pilsner. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
I love a good Pacifico though, playing golf too.
Well, the
can, not the bottle.
What is the Oakmont or whatever in Lakewood? They have the Japanese beers and the big ones, and they're the same price, like Sapporos and Kirin's. So when me and Nikita play there, we get back to our roots and drink some Japanese beers.
Get back to your roots. All right. Well, you get back home safely. The Ryan Divish Show, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley. Been serving the community for the past 40 years. Visit them at chaletbowl.com. Ryan Divish every single Wednesday with us talking Mariners baseball, the cold stove. All right. Safe travels home. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
There he is, Ryan Divish. In case you missed it, came in late. Full episode up on YouTube. God, we went long today. Full episode on YouTube. Go subscribe there to the YouTube channel, Puck Sports. Also follow on the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, up at pucksports.com. Hey, What the Puck is brought to you by Restoration One as we wrap up the show here today. Restoration One, North Seattle, a company that's going to let you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. You can also visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Sad news to pass along here. Normally we wouldn't do this here for Hey, What the Puck. This came down probably about 30, 40 minutes ago, so I just didn't get to it. We were with guests. David Bonderman, the owner of the Seattle Kraken, has passed away today. David Bonderman, who was also a minority owner there with the Boston Celtics, and then also was considered, along with his daughter, Samantha Holloway, to be the two that would lead the charge to get an NBA team back to Seattle. In a statement released by the Kraken today, great sadness that announced that the passing of David Bonderman, co-founder of the global alternative asset management firm TPG, also co-owner of the Seattle Kraken. He passed away at the age of 82, surrounded by his family. Born in L.A., 1942, went to UW, majored in Russian studies, and then, of course, moved on to the business world, and then, of course, became in the sports community with the Boston Celtics, and then, of course, now with the Seattle Kraken. And that's a picture of David Bonderman and his daughter, Samantha Holloway. So some sad news. I mean, sounds like he's surrounded by his family. This is maybe something that he was dealing with. Again, I'm speculating, shouldn't speculate with this stuff. So thoughts go out to the Kraken family and the Bonderman family, Samantha Holloway. How, as you turn, to the sports side of it, how does this affect the pursuit of the NBA team there with the Sonics and all that? But, that's back burner stuff and more just with the thoughts there with David Bonderman. I never got a chance to talk to him, interview him. I know maybe others have. He was kind of private, but I think to Bonderman and to Jerry Bruckheimer and the Wickies, I think thank you. Bringing an NHL team here, and then besides just bringing an NHL team here, which is giving you something to have and kind of wet your whistle here in the winter, but also just a beautiful, beautiful state-of-the-art arena, which is just fantastic. Another just quick note on the Hey What the Puck, just to kind of recap a little bit with what Divish said. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do, man, but this is not good. It's just not good. I mean, if they have a desire to sign Carlos Santana to a 1-year, $6 million deal, and they've got roughly $15 million, $16 million to spend, that leaves them $10 million freed up to get still something at second and something at third. Well, then at that point, you're not doing anything at second. You turn your attention to third. I don't know what's out there. Nothing on the free agent market. Now you got to draft. Now you got to trade. Now keep in mind this $15 million. This is just what they are saying. They can afford way more because there's no salary cap. But they have just decided this is all they've got. This is all they're going to spend. They've got elite pitching. I'd be excited to get Roki Sasaki. Maybe that would be the domino that would allow them to trade Luis Castillo. So be all in on getting Sasaki, trade Castillo. You trade that number. You save money on that side. Maybe that frees up something. That brings something back Major League ready that you can play it. If it's the Cubs, it gets you Nico Horner, and then you save the money because you got rid of the $70+ million owed there to Luis Castillo. But it's what we, the chat we're going on right now on the Pucks Posse community chat right now, that I asked a question this morning, why do we do this to ourselves? Why they let us down? Why are we so heavily invested in this team? And there's so many great replies in that chat. If you want to be a part of it, sign up to be a Pucks Posse community member. Just $5 a month, and you're gonna save and get a discount if you sign up for a year. It gives you VIP content to everything. Jeff writes, unfortunately, even though I'm a lifelong M's fan, my investment in them is dwindling every year. I've basically become used to ignoring them once football season starts because it benefits me to do so. The playoffs a couple years ago was great, gave me that feel again. But then what did management do? Nothing. The absolute bare minimum to even field a team. Matt writes, they're the first team I've ever watched and rooted for. Many of my childhood memories are intertwined with things happening with the Mariners. I love the players. I love the laundry, as Jerry Seinfeld says. Management drives me crazy. I want to see them win a championship before I die, though I'm losing hope, and I'm only in my 40s. So, again, we'll try to do that every day and try to ask a question and then bring it up here in the Daily Punch Drop. All right, this is going to be the longest one. We're almost going to go 2 hours with this thing today. Daily Punch Drop in the books. Again, we go live every day at 10 a.m., usually supposed to wrap up at 11:30, but we went a little long-winded. Today's full show will be up on YouTube. Please subscribe there. Also on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Obviously, some use Amazon. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com. Again, join the Pucks Posse community membership. QR code on your screen. If you're viewing it right now, we'll take you right there. Also, just go to pucksports.com, and you can click on the link there. You want access to all of the Puck Sports content. Don't want to miss a thing. Become a full member. Members get full access and VIP content. So sign up and join the conversation today. All right, that's it for us. Appreciate everyone checking in today. A lengthy one for all of you. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Thursday edition of the show. Michael Sean Dugar, the Dugar Report, also Mike Garofolo from the NFL Network. Until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!